All right, thank you all for joining me tonight. We are going to practice a grounding and balancing flow tonight. We have a new moon in the sky tonight, as well as a new season. We're in the Ayurvedic season of Vata. Vata is the quality of air. And if you think of the fall season and what qualities kind of accompany that, we have air, we have dryness, we have a lot of wind. And so with those things in mind, we're gonna just take a more of a grounding practice tonight. So we'll begin in Savasana. There's a great demonstration of that pose going on right here on my mat with my blue dog, Mr. Zen. So you're gonna lie on your backs and you're just gonna separate your feet nice and wide, let your arms draw away from your body. And take any little movement you need to do to just allow yourself to really arrive on the mat. So you might need to just drop your head from side to side, or maybe stretch your fingers and your wrists and your ankles a little bit. Find some space between the shoulder blades. And just over the next couple of breaths, allow your eyes to close and your body to begin to soften. Giving yourself permission to just release into the mats and the floors below you. Giving yourself time to untether from your day and just allow your mind, the activity of your mind, to just begin to slow down. So we can't ever really turn the mind off, but we can allow it to drop to the background. And as you do that, maybe just let the body come to the forefront. So just allow yourself to be in the present moment through the sensations that you're feeling in your body. And the real feeling of grounding and rooting and anchoring below you. Feel the points of connection between your body and the floor. And just notice how, as the mind begins to take a back seat, the body begins to relax, and then the mind begins to follow the body. We'll bring one hand to the belly and one hand to the chest. And in this way, start to begin to feel yourself breathing. As you breathe in, notice how your lower palm lifts as the belly rises. Feel the ribs expand side to side, and feel your top hand begin to lift as the breath moves up into the chest. And as you exhale, feel the breath release. And your body contract to empty out. And with this sensory feedback, we can really begin to connect to the present moment, to connect to our bodies, to connect to our breath, and just anchor in just a little bit more deeply. Really expanding the connection from the body to the breath. We begin our true practice of yoga, bringing the body and the mind and the breath together. This is also a nice kind of way to ground ourselves during the energy of the new moon. And this is a great time to set some intentions in this new moon phase, right? We can set some intentions or plant some seeds for some energies that we would like to bring forth in the next couple of weeks. And if you're feeling a little spacey, maybe a little airy, maybe a little ungrounded or even anxious because of this Vata energy, this Vata season that we're in, just remind yourselves that you can always come back to your breath as a means of calming and grounding yourself. So that simple tool of just taking deep belly breaths, slowing our activities down, letting our mind take a little pause. It's just a great way to kind of navigate not only the season that we're in, but just our day to day. Start to even out your breath if you haven't already, just allowing deep and full exhales to inhales to inflate your belly. And nice long exhales to empty your belly. As we move through the practice, the goal is to maintain this steady breathing even during the challenging parts. So just make a really nice connection with your breath, kind of make friends with it as if you were in a deep relationship, which you are. And just be grateful for it. One more nice full breath in here. Let's expand and hold the breath at the top. We're going to stick our tongue out and open our mouth and take a lion's breath with a ha. Just let everything out. Stretch your arms overhead here. Take a full body stretch. Maybe roll out the ankles and wrists one more time. And we'll go ahead and reach for our block if we have it. Again, not necessary if you don't. Bend the knees, draw them in, and your legs to tabletop. You're going to slide that block between your thighs the long way. Flex your feet and take your arms out to your side. And take a deep breath in, relax those shoulders down. And as you exhale, you're just going to twist off to the right and let those knees kind of hover over the mat. For a little extra twist, you can turn your gaze to the left. Give that block a nice squeeze here. Feel the release through the muscles along the spine. Now, using your core, let's inhale as we roll through center. Pause before you exhale over to the left. And again, let the knees kind of float. Maybe turn your chin to the right. And encourage that right shoulder to just melt towards the floor. Give that block a nice squeeze. Feel your inner thighs engaged. Using your core muscles, come back up through center, pause. And one more time over to the right, floating here. Turning the chin if that feels good. Relaxing the shoulders down, especially your left shoulder here. Using the core muscles, roll back through center, take a little pause. And then exhale over to the left, turning the chin to the right, dropping that right shoulder to the floor. Take your mind's eye to your spine and just feel the release as we twist from side to side. And then come on back to center. And let's extend the legs straight up to the sky. So you're going to flex your feet and you're going to drive your heels up and away from you. So you're really creating length in the backs of your legs, squeezing and hugging in that block. Let's point the feet. Feel the stretch across the tops of the feet and ankles. And then flex. Inhale to point. And exhale to flex. One more time, inhale to point. And exhale to flex. Beautiful. Just bend the knees and reach for your block. And then take it between your hands and bring it all the way overhead. Extend the legs one more time. Now remember, if you don't have a block, that's fine. You don't need it. Just imagine you have one. Keep that same engagement of your inner thighs as if the block were still there. Take a deep breath in. Your palms are cupping the short ends of the block. And as you exhale with your core, you're just going to slowly lower the legs all the way down to the floor. Take a nice full stretch here. Really squeeze the block with your hands. Push your heels long and away from you. Stretch out from your midsection. And deep breath in. Exhale, both the arms and the legs are going to lift, and you're going to pass the block to your feet and cup the edges of the block with your inner arches. Take a deep breath in, and as you exhale, we're going to lower both the arms and the legs, re-extending out. Inhale back up to center, using your lower abdominals past the block. And as you exhale, lower arms and legs, this time holding the block with the hands. Again, inhale, strong core. We're waking up our shoulder and our hip joints here, as well as the abdominals, past the block. As you exhale, lengthen out, squeezing the block with the feet. One more time, inhale, lift up. And this time, as you exhale, take that block overhead, bend the knees and drop the feet to the floor. Lift your tailbone up and slide the block underneath you. Now, again, if you don't have the block, that's fine. We're coming into a supported bridge pose, so you can do bridge without the block just as well. Arms are alongside of you. The difference here is we're going to walk our feet slightly forward. So forward of the knees, not where they normally are, right underneath the knees. The heels are forward. And we're going to press our heels to the mat and lift our toes. Take a nice deep breath in, drive the heels into the mat. And as you exhale, scoop your tailbone and lift your hips off the block or the floor, wherever you are. Now in this variation, you may feel a little more engagement in the hamstrings. That's exactly where we want to target this movement. Keep lengthening your tailbone to the backs of your knees and squeeze your glute muscles. Press the backs of the shoulders into the mat and just appreciate that nice stretch across your hip flexors, your quads. As you draw your chest towards your chin, you draw your knees away from your hips. One more breath in as you really dig your heels into the mat. And as you exhale, we'll slide the block away and lower all the way down. Good. Take the block off to the side. We'll need that for a little bit later. Draw your knees into your chest here and just feel your sacrum pressing into the floor. So you want your thighs in close. Find that engagement of your low back. And then with your hands on your kneecaps, we're just going to make circles with our knees. So coming into the hips just a little bit deeper here. Nice big circles in one direction. If circling them together doesn't feel good and you'd like to do one and then the other, just explore that. This may be a time when you hear a little popping or cracking. This is great for accessing those outer glutes, and then we'll reverse the direction. Just take these these knee and hip circles in the opposite direction. You can lift your tailbone off the ground if you need to go a little bit deeper. Good, and then come to center, bring the legs up one more time, and then we're gonna widen the legs into a straddle. So you can slide your hands into your inner thighs. You're gonna flex your feet and draw your toes up towards your shoulders. Now, breathe deeply here. So what I was saying earlier about trying to maintain that deep, steady breath in a challenging pose. So you're probably feeling a lot of sensation in those inner thighs right now, maybe in the outer hips. Just breathe through it with that nice steady breath you cultivated in your Savasana pose. Keeping the feet flexed, appreciating the stretch, breathing in, breathing out, trying to relax around the pose itself, right? So there's effort and ease, a nice balance, right? Since balance is kind of one of the themes of this new moon, it's in Libra, the sign of the scales. So we want to find a balance throughout our practice with each pose. All right, you can soften the knees a little bit here. We're just going to rock up into a straddle position. Whoop, maybe get a little more momentum. Into a straddle position as you sit upright. You could take your hands back behind you just to kind of tilt the pelvis slightly forward. And then as you feel ready, start to walk your hands forward, taking a nice forward fold. So maybe the forearms come to the floor. You could use your block and maybe rest up on the block. You want to try to just lift out of your low back and kind of project your heart and your sternum forward. If it's helpful to grab your ankles or maybe your toes to find that deeper stretch, then do so. Sending your breath into your hamstrings and really that kind of back chain of your body, the low back, the outer hips, and just breathing into this shape. Feeling grounded and connected to the earth. Staying steady with your breath. Good. Releasing the hands if you have a bind and walking your chest back and up. Just put your fingers underneath your knees to bend the knees, and then we'll come into a tabletop position. So bring yourself to tabletop by bringing your wrists right underneath your shoulders. So you want your wrist crease to be parallel with the top of your mat, and you want to stack your knees right underneath your hips. We're going to do a little twisting to open up the body and to get into the shoulders. So we'll bring that right arm out to the side, and you're going to twist and turn open as far as you can. Take the hand and bring it back behind the skull, and just lean the skull into the hand for a little bit deeper twist. Take a breath in, and as you exhale, you're just going to bring your elbow towards your left wrist and twist and turn the torso to the left. One more like that. Inhale, open all the way to the right. Exhale, turn and twist to the left. Inhale, now release the arm up as you twist open to the right. Exhale, thread it through for thread the needle, landing on that right shoulder. Now, a couple of options with your left hand. I'll turn around so you can see. You can stack your hand right underneath your elbow. So you can have a bent elbow position like this, or you can bring that left arm all the way forward for a nice stretch along the left side of the body. Wherever you are, press into your finger pads and kind of roll on top of that right shoulder a little bit more. Breathing into it. And if you want to add an element of balance, you could try to extend your left leg back and up behind you. If this makes you feel unsteady, just play around with it. If you fall out of it, just know that you've had a moment practicing balance, right? Part of the understanding of balance is that we're going to fall out of it. Another option here is to take a half bind. So your left arm could lift and come back behind you, either to your sacrum or to your hip crease. This is a really nice way to open up the front of that left shoulder. So wherever you are, just be there and breathe. I don't know about you guys, but my shoulders are super tight. So this is feeling extra good tonight. If you have your leg lifted, slowly draw that knee in. Release the bind if you have it. And then unwind yourself, unthreading the arm, taking it open to the right one more time, and then releasing it down. Restacking the shoulders and the wrists, set yourself up for the left side. And as you open up to the left, bring that left arm up as you twist to the left. The palm now comes to the back of the skull. Turn and twist a little bit more, leaning the head back into the hand. Breathing in. On the exhale, take that twist, pull the elbow towards the right wrist. Inhale from your belly. Turn and rotate the torso, the rib cage. Exhale, twist, elbow to wrist. Last time as we inhale, now extend the arm all the way up, open up. And exhale to thread it all the way through, landing on that left shoulder. Option to extend the right arm all the way forward, or to come onto tented fingers and stack right in front of your face, that elbow right over your wrist. Press into it, kind of roll a little bit more deeply on top of your left shoulder. Turn so you can see me here. And then playing around perhaps with balance by extending that right leg up and back. Flex the foot if you'd like, keep the front of the hips squared, and then maybe go a little bit deeper with the half bind, bringing that right arm back behind you, back of the hand to the sacrum or fingertips to the hip crease. Rolling that right shoulder open. Breathing, breathing, breathing. Expect to wobble if you're in the balance. It's all part of the energy, right? Slide that right knee in, tent the right fingertips, and then press on up, opening the left arm to the left, and then bringing it down. Good. Let's make our way into downward facing dog. So go ahead and walk your hands a little bit forward of your shoulders and tuck the toes and just follow me. We're going to take a little bit different flow. So go ahead and lift the kneecaps by pressing into the hands. You've got sort of this backward motion with your hips kind of drawing back. Take a deep breath in and feel those inner thighs engaging as if that block were still there. And as you exhale, you're going to press your chest back towards your thighs. You're coming into this kind of crouching position. Feel those thighs engage. Take a deep breath in. On the exhale, begin to lift the tailbone and straighten the legs. Find your downward facing dog. Take some movement here if you'd like, just pedaling out through the legs. Maybe bending one knee deeply as you press through the opposite heel. If you've been sitting, those hamstrings are going to be tight, so it's going to feel really good to find a little movement there. Let your head drop. Try to balance your weight evenly between your hands and your feet. So if your wrists are feeling extra tight, recruit the power of your legs a little bit more. Really stretch the leg bones back as you push the thigh bones towards the back of the mat, turning the legs on just a little bit more. On your next breath in, let's lift high on the toes. As you exhale, flow forward into plank pose. So just kind of make it a fluid motion rolling through your spine. And then as you inhale, you're going to bend your knees. And as you exhale, you're going to send your chest back towards your thighs like we did before and straighten the legs. So this kind of flowy plank to dog movement. We'll do that a couple of times just to get our bigger joints moving. Inhale forward onto the toes into plank pose. Exhale as you bend the knees, press the chest back, straighten the legs as the tailbone lifts. Again, inhale, flow forward into plank. Exhale, bending the knees, push the chest back, lift the tailbone, stretch the heels to the floor. One more time, inhale onto the toes, forward to plank. Bend the knees, press the chest back, and lift the tailbone as you straighten the legs. Beautiful, beautiful downward facing dog. Let this be kind of a resting and a reset pose for you. Stretch your heels to the floor. Press firmly into your thumb and your forefinger. Let's widen our feet just a little, actually all the way to the sides of the mat. And then walk your hands back until your heels drop to the floor. Bring the left hand into the center of the mat, thread the right arm under to catch your left ankle. And again, we're going to twist here. So pull your chest and your gaze up and underneath that left arm. Breathe into the back side of your body. Really ground through your feet and allow your chest to turn. One more breath in here and exhale to release. Right hand to the center, left arm threads through, catch that right ankle, turn and pull yourself underneath your right arm. Feel this and breathe into it. Low back, hamstrings, right? Feeling the rotation through the spine and the center of the body. And then gently release. Now keep your toes facing forward, walk your hands back all the way, and bend your knees into a sumo squat. So the difference between this and Malasana is that our toes are facing forward. And try to keep your chest low in between your thighs and breathe as you sink the tailbone down. So we want it pretty much parallel to the floor. Take a breath in. On the exhale, straighten the legs and take a forward fold. Breathe it out. Shake the head out. And then inhale, drop the tailbone, come into your squat. Exhale to come into your forward fold. We're going to move like that a couple of times. Inhale to squat, dropping tailbone. Exhale to fold, letting it go. One more time, inhale to drop. And then exhale to forward fold. Take a little bit of movement here. And then though the feet are wider, you can still grab opposite elbows. You can still let go of that whole backside, the chain of muscles here. Release the head, neck, and shoulders. Let your head be super heavy. And just know that any kind of forward fold is really calming for the body. So if you need to kind of have a reset, you've had an anxious moment or an unsettling afternoon, this is kind of a great place to go. Upside down, shake it all off, see the world in a different way. Good, we'll take a little halfway lift, come up onto your fingertips and walk it out to downward facing dog. Readjust as you need to, walking the feet in to be in line with the hips here. And on the next breath in, let's lift your right leg up to the sky. On the exhale, we're going to bend the knee to open the hip. So you want to keep your shoulders square and you want to press evenly through your hands. Just allow that right knee to kind of turn up towards the ceiling and let your left heel drift over to that, or your right heel drift over to that left side. Feel the opening. Let's make some nice big circles. All about the hips with me, you guys know that. Any opportunity to kind of stir it up down there, I'm all for it. Reverse direction if you haven't already. And then keeping the knee bent, take a deep breath in. On the exhale, come forward to plank and tap your right elbow with your knee. Good. Inhale, let's take it back. Keep the knee bent. Exhale, cross under and tap your left elbow with your knee, getting a twist. Inhale, take it back. Keep the knee bent. This time, right down the middle. Exhale, knee to nose, round and pull up. And then step your foot up by your right thumb. Stretch it out here. Press back through that left heel. I want you to feel your left hip flexor get a good opening up. And then gently allow your knee to drop down. You can keep your back toes tucked for a little more stability if you'd like. And let's rise up into our kneeling lunge, Anjaneyasana. Just take a peek to make sure your knee and ankle are stacked on that right leg. And then I want you to hug your front heel and your back knee in towards one another. So you should feel this kind of lift of energy as they energetically hug in. You're going to feel kind of that lift from your pelvic floor. Relax your shoulders. Breathing in and breathing out. Take your left hand to the outside of your right knee and then a half circle of your right arm to the back, twisting open. So try to keep that arm in line with your shoulder. Feel the rotation as the belly and the ribs and the chest all move to the right. Breathe through this. So remember that deep, calm breathing, even through challenging poses. And then that left elbow is going to come down to the outside of the knee. Bring your palms to meet and maybe stack your elbows here. Coming into a heart twist, prayer twist, as we lift our heart towards our thumbs, and deepening this twist. Option here to lift the back knee. Press through that back heel as much as you can and try to keep your belly lifted off and away from that front thigh. Beautiful. Wherever you are, deep breaths. Remember, balance out the effort with some ease. One more breath in. Exhale, hands to the mat. Draw your chest forward. Breathe in. Exhale, shift the hips back and straighten that front leg. Runner's lunge. So any variation with that front foot, you can press down with your right big toe or draw the toes back for that deeper hamstring stretch. Your choice here. Wherever you are, keep lengthening your sternum forward. You may even want to lift up a little bit to pull out of your back. Exhaling, finding a little extra length. Go deeper, but keep pulling that right hip crease back. Nice deep breaths in and out here. Maybe taking the hand to the back of the leg, massage your little fist pumps up and down the back of the leg if you're feeling tight. It's always a really nice release. Good. And now here's where you could use the block. We're going to rebend into the front knee and stretch our hands all the way forward past our front foot. We're going to press up our back toes and press into our right leg, coming into an L shape. If you have the block, you could certainly come up on the block using that to bring the floor up a little bit closer to you. So we want our hips to square to the floor. You want your sternum to extend and you want to press out strongly through your back foot. So you can feel this right outer hip working, your right leg working, your left leg is working too, just pressing strongly through the air. Practice balance if you'd like. Maybe bring one or both hands to the chest for warrior three. If you fall out of it, don't worry about it, right? Just practicing, practicing, practicing. Good. One more breath in wherever you are. Use your core muscles. Exhale, hands to the floor. Bend into that front knee and drop your toes all the way back. Good. We're going to roll to the right. So roll onto the outer edge of your left foot and step your right foot halfway down the mat. So you want to kind of line up your knee and your hip. Coming into a modified side plank, press into your left arm and lift your right arm up and arc your body. This could feel really nice to release that outer hip muscle. Let your head go. Press into both feet. Beautiful. Breathe in. And then on the exhale, we'll make our way to plank pose. So step that right foot back to meet the left. Breathe strongly into your plank. And then exhale back to downward facing dog. Breathe in. And breathe out. You can always drop the knees or come to child's pose if you need a little reset. Please listen to your body and take that if you need it. All right, left side. Let's lift that left leg up, square the hips, and then bend the knee and open up that left hip. So as the knee turns and lifts towards the ceiling, the heel draws over to the right side of your mat. Really press through your right heel, get some length in that right hamstring, and then breathe into your left hip. Let's make some circles. Drawing the knee around in one direction and reversing. Oh yeah, snap, crackle, pop. And then coming back to your hip opener, take a deep breath in. On the exhale, come forward into plank and tap your left elbow with your knee. With control, inhale, bring it back, the knee stays bent. Exhale, nice and slow, we're gonna twist under and tap that right elbow. Nice little core workout here. Inhale, take it back, the knee stays bent. This time, right down the middle as you exhale, knee to nose, lift up, pull your thigh in and up, and step through. Left foot up by the thumb. Stay upright for a moment as you press back through your right heel and lift your chest forward. Really get into that right hip flexor, oh yeah. And then drop the knee down. Toes can stay tucked. Find your way into your kneeling lunge, Anjaneyasana, and let your shoulders stack over your hips. Engage the heel and the knee as you hug them in towards center, feeling that lift, right? Strong legs. And then that right hand to the outside of the left knee. That left arm makes a half arc as you turn, following the gaze, or taking your gaze to follow your thumb as you look back. So as the ribs and the heart and the chest move to the left, your belly actually kind of moves to the right. Just feel into it. Pretty intense. Breathing. Staying balanced, staying centered. And now we'll slide that right elbow outside of the knee. Bring the palms together into prayer and lift your heart as you turn a little bit deeper now, using your elbow as a lever to rotate the chest a little bit more. Option 2, lift your right knee. Drive the heel away from you. Keep your belly lifted off of your front thigh. And maybe turn your gaze up past your left elbow. Steady breaths here. Finding center. Breathing in. Breathing out. Good. Lowering the hands to the mat to frame out the foot. Take a breath in as you stretch the heart forward. Exhale, shifting the hips up and back, straighten both legs, come into your runner's lunge. Take a moment to feel how different this side is, right? We tend to carry our weight differently from one side to the other of the body. So the side that works harder maybe feels a little more challenged when we stretch it out. Just kind of pay attention to those things in your body. Not to critique or judge them in any way, but just to be aware. Maybe the left toes lift. Draw your left hip crease back. Keep re-extending your heart. Refolding. Good. And then we'll bend into the front knee. Walk the fingertips all the way forward, maybe in search of that block. And as you press into your left foot, you're going to just drag the right foot up and lift it, keeping it flexed, finding your L shape here. Use the block if you'd like to bring the mat up a little bit closer towards you. Engage both legs. So the front of that right hip is rolling down towards the mat. There's a little kind of internal rotation of that lifted thigh. Press into the big toe side of your left foot, your standing foot, and then maybe play with balance. One or both hands at the heart for warrior 3 on this side. Literally balancing here. Strong connection to your core and to your legs. Breathing in and breathing out. Fingertips to the mat, soften the front knee. Bring the back toes all the way down, and let's come into our arm balance, modified side plank. So roll to the left, you're gonna come onto the outer edge of that right foot. Step your left foot halfway down the mat. As you press into your right hand, the hand is stacked underneath the shoulder. You're gonna lift that left arm up, just arc your body. Feel the contraction of your right obliques. Let your head go. Breathe, 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 breathe. Oh, so nice. Let's release the plank pose. So bring the left foot back to meet the right. Take a deep breath in as you strengthen your body. On the exhale, shift forward, then the elbows come all the way to the belly. So this time we're going to take our hands off the mat, fingertips wide. Stack your elbows over your wrists. Plug into the tops of your feet, your thighs, and the front of your hips. And as you inhale, engaging the lower body, use your upper body to lift. Breathing length from your belly button to your collarbones. Lifting out of your low back, draw your tailbone down to elongate the spine. Take a full breath in, maybe come up a little higher. And then on the exhale, roll yourself down nice and easy. Again, inhale as we press into the lower body, lift up. Exhale, twist to the left and drop that right shoulder down. Turn your gaze over your left shoulder and drop that right shoulder to get a good stretch there. Breathe in to come back through center and breathe out to roll down, nice and easy. Last round, inhale, roll yourself up. As you exhale, turn to the right, left shoulder dips down. Gazing up past your right shoulder, grounding through the tops of the feet, feeling that deep stretch in the left shoulder. Inhale, we rise through center, and exhale, we come all the way down. Take your hands alongside your low ribs. Let's press back into child's pose. Take a breath here as you ground your forehead down. Releasing, releasing, releasing. Good, let's make our way into downward facing dog. Pushing the hips up and back. And then bring your thumbs to touch in the middle of your mat. Walk your feet in a little closer, bend your knees, step your left foot to the outside of your left hand, right foot to the outside of the right hand. This time your knees are outside of your elbows and you're dropping the tailbone down for Malasana. So the knees are there to, or the elbows are there to widen the knees. You're gonna press your palms together. You're gonna let your tailbone drop down and let your spine elongate. Really nice pose for decompressing the low back, for opening up the hips, staying grounded, feeling that sense of being close to the earth, right? The energy is way more grounded than, say, in that Warrior 3 pose, which was very airy and Vata, lots of air and movement in a balancing pose. All right, we're gonna press into the feet, keep your hands in prayer, and let's go ahead and bring ourselves all the way up, pressing into the feet. Now squeeze the thighs together, bring your arms all the way up and overhead. Step your feet together, big toes to touch. Grab your left wrist and take a deep breath in as you lengthen. Exhale, we're gonna lean to the right and stretch out that left side of our body. Keep your throat nice and open and maybe even turn your chest and your gaze a little bit more up to the left. So you're leaning that left shoulder back and you're drawing your right shoulder underneath you. Press the hips to the left. Stretch out the left side body. And then come on up. Switch your grip. Grab that right wrist. Take a deep breath in as you stretch tall. And then exhale up and over to the left, pressing the hips to the right. Once again, think about rotating the chest and the gaze up and underneath that right arm as you send your right shoulder back and your left shoulder a little more underneath you. Press evenly through your feet. Stretch it out. Rise on up on the next breath in. Separate your hands, and as you breathe out, take a back bend, cactus your arms, and lift your chest. Squeeze your shoulder blades really tightly onto your back. Broaden across the front of the chest with a deep breath in. And then on the exhale, bring your arms up and overhead, palms to meet, and then hands right in front of the heart. Close your eyes here. Let's just take a moment to pause and check in. Perhaps you'd like to think about an intention for the new moon. Maybe with the flow of the practice, something has kind of brought itself to the surface of your mind or your emotions. It's a new moon focusing on balance and relationships of all kinds. So maybe you want to find balance in a relationship or ask yourself some questions along those lines. But it's a beautiful and loving new moon. So if you do create an intention, create it in the spirit of love. Let's ease the eyes open. Come to the tops of your mat if you're not already there. And let's take our arms up and overhead. Get nice and tall here. And as you exhale, we're going to sit back into Utkatasana, chair pose. So immediately you want to shift some weight into your heels and lighten up your toes. You want to hug the body in from the outside. So again, imagine that block is between your thighs here. Grounding down, feeling strong. Really feeling your abdominal muscles pulling in to support your back here with a little tuck to the tailbone. If your arms need a rest, you can always come into cactus or straight out or straight forward, right? Just feel what feels right for you tonight. And then we're going to press into our right foot, get light on our left, and come to stand on that right leg for a one-legged mountain pose. Just find your balance here. Make a 90-degree angle with your knee and your thigh. And take a deep breath in. On the exhale, you're going to twist towards that left leg, bringing your arms out to a T. Don't worry if you fall. This is as much a practice about breath and gaze, your drishti, as it is about balance. And then we'll inhale, come back to center. Exhale, step that left foot all the way back and land in warrior one legs. So the left heel is grounded and the toes are pointed up towards the left corner. You're going to bend into your right knee and you're just going to square the hips. So really make a strong connection with that back leg. Feel your foundation, feel your groundedness, and bring the arms overhead, palms meet. Take a breath in, and as you breathe out, just trace the ceiling and lean back. Looking up and back, a little back bend here. Strong in your legs. Relax in those shoulders. Finding balance. Breathing in. As you breathe out, sweep your hands back behind you to take a clasp. Pull the shoulder blades onto the back. Open the front of the chest. Breathe in deeply. And as you exhale, fold forward. You're just going to dive your chest down inside of that right thigh, or maybe let it rest on top of the thigh. If you're flexible enough to lift your hands off your low back, then see if you can arc them towards the top of the mat. Pull your right sit bone underneath you. Squeeze your shoulder blades onto your back as best you can. Deep breath in. Open mouth, exhale, let it go. Inhale, rise up, keep your arm bind. Exhale, pivot onto your left toes, step up. Utkatasana, land in chair pose with the arm bind. Release your palms open, turn them down towards the mat. Squeeze the shoulder blades onto the back and inhale, rise onto the toes. Again, a little bit of a balance here. Do the best that you can. On the exhale, lower the heels, bring the arms up and overhead, and then hands come to the heart. Take a pause, breathe. Be in gratitude for strength of your body, your legs, your feet, your ankles. Gosh, they do so much for us every day, and we don't even think about them. All right, let's take this on the other side. Inhale, as the arms lift. Exhale, Utkatasana. One more time. Really drop down. Give it your best here. Let the weight travel to your heels. Let your toes be light. Turn on your legs and turn on your core muscles. Breathing in and breathing out. Now get heavy and strong in your left leg, light in your right, and come to stand on that left leg as you pull your right knee up. Coming into your one-legged mountain. Focus on an unmoving point in front of you, adding on that element of drishti, or gaze, that really helps with the balance. And then we'll take that twist to the right arm back behind you, left arm comes forward. So don't worry if you fall out of it, right? It's a practice. There could be wobbles, I know I'm wobbling. Just do your best. Good, let's inhale back to center. And exhale, right foot all the way back. Drop the heel, warrior one, legs on this side. If you need to, bring your hands to your hips to set up. I know it always helps me. So that right hip is going to swivel a little more forward, the left hip a little more back. The shoulders are going to square. You're going to make a nice strong connection with that knife edge of your foot back there. Arms come up and overhead, palms meet. On the exhale, trace the ceiling as you lean back into the back bend. Keep your legs strong. Drop into that front knee. Power up that back leg. Open up your heart. Keep a steady, deep breath. Big breath in as you look forward. Exhale as you take the arms behind, find that clasp. If you can, take the opposite grip, opposite thumb on top. Roll the shoulders back, pull your knuckles towards the floor, and then hinge forward from the hips as you drop into humble warrior. Maybe the arms lift up and away from the low back here. You can look back at your back right heel. Stay bent in your left knee. Squeeze shoulder blades onto the back. And draw that left hip back just a little bit more. Take a nice full breath in here. And on the exhale, we'll release the hands down. This time, we're going to pivot to the long side of your mat. So open up the feet nice and wide and come into a little bit of a pigeon-toed stance. We're going to walk both hands over to the left leg. Grab the ankle and pull the chest towards the thigh. Last little twist here. Maybe that left arm comes up as you rotate in towards your thigh. Round through the outer edges of your feet. Notice how the straddle position feels now as opposed to when we began the class. Let's release. Take it over to the other side. Draw the chest towards the thigh. Press into the outer edges of your feet. And maybe that right arm releases up towards the sky as you turn the chest and rotate a little bit deeper. Breathing in and breathing out. Let's release. Walk the hands forward. Now, we're set up perfectly for frog pose. I will give you the option to take frog pose or pigeon, either one. So for frog, we want to heel toe the feet in a little bit closer and then bend the knees and bring them to the mat. Your toes are going to turn out and you're going to line your ankles up with your knees. So there should be a 90-degree angle. Maybe walk those knees open a little bit further if you can, and then walk the hands down towards the mat and release. Really deep hip opener here. If you can, you might want to shift your hips back just a little bit more to feel that extra oomph that's involved in frog pose. If this is not your cup of tea tonight, then feel free to take pigeon with the right shin forward, the knee outside of your right wrist, and that left leg long back behind you, lowering down and coming into it, closing your eyes wherever you are. So our hip openers are really an essential part of our practice. They help us to process a lot of stuck stuff. So when we get in there, oftentimes we can feel some discomfort. We can feel things that are a little crunchy. And we just want to breathe through them. A big part of our experience in yoga is the release of that kind of stuff. All right, just being the observer, knowing what we're made up of, being kind and compassionate with ourselves, letting go of things that really don't serve us. It's a really beautiful journey, and it all takes place right here in the four corners of this beautiful mat. Wherever you are, I encourage you to deepen your breath, whether you're in pigeon or frog. Just really, really get in there, those deep belly breaths. If you're in pigeon, we need to do the other side. So you're going to come on up and then just bring the right knee back and draw the left shin forward, and you'll just switch it out. If you're in frog, you're still there, although maybe you want to take a break. And if you do want to take a break from frog, then you're just simply going to come up and draw your knees together and sit on your heels in Virasana pose. And close your eyes and just let the effects of that deep hip opener just kind of resonate through your body. If you're still in pigeon, really appreciate the beautiful opening in both the front of the right hip as well as in the outer edges of the left hip. And really try to soften into it wherever you are. Oh man, hip openers are really my favorites. They're just so juicy. All right. If you're in pigeon pose, walk your hands back as you lift your chest up, and then draw that left knee back to meet the right. We'll all come into Virasana if you were already there. Oh, so beautiful. Let's take our left hand outside of our left hip, lift the hips, and press them forward as you reach your right arm back. A little modified camel pose here. And lower down. Switch sides, right hand to the outside of the hip, left arm lifts up. Press the hips forward, stretch it out, and slowly come down. Let's make our way onto our backs. Oh, this should feel really, really good. Take a full body stretch once you get there. Just let your arms reach away from your feet away from your hands. Oh. And shimmy your hips a little bit side to side. Good. Take your block if you have it, or if you don't, maybe come up close to the wall. We're going to take waterfall pose, and you could also do legs up the wall. So with the block under the sacrum, you're just going to lift your legs up and let your feet just kind of be somewhere between a flex and a point. You don't have to try to do anything here. We want to relax the legs. Arms maybe in cactus pose could be very relaxing, or simply open beside you with the palms up. Stretch the throat open so you don't want to jam up your throat, but keep some openness there. And just let all the blood flow and the energy release from the legs down and into the heart. Did a lot of strong standing poses, balancing poses. Legs got a good workout, so giving them a little love tonight, this extra time. Let your upper body relax as well, and let your breath just begin to slow down, not completely tune out yet, but just begin to slow down. Let your thoughts have some space between them, little pauses. And we'll just bend the knees softly, let the feet drop to the floor. Push into them to release the block. And then if you'd like, let's take Plow Pose just as a finishing pose. So lifting the hips off the mat, supporting your low back, just stretching the toes any amount back behind you. Feel the release in your back body. Try to soften the eyes, maybe close them. Create some more spaciousness between the building blocks of your spine, all the vertebrae. And as you are ready, you'll gently roll yourself out, bringing your hands to the mat, and then letting each bone touch the mat one at a time until you land your sacrum, and then just allow your legs to gently, slowly, mindfully make their way down. Savasana time. We end where we began, separating the feet and the arms, turning the palms up to receive, taking any final movement that you need to let your body come into a full state of relaxation. It may be helpful to think about relaxing your jaw and just letting your lips part a little bit. Soften your brow. Release any tension that you may be holding in your neck, top of your shoulders. Let the whole back side of your body just get heavy and melt into the mat below you. Give yourself permission to be here for a few moments. A few moments of doing nothing and yet receiving everything. Drop any breathing that you had going. Just let your breath breathe naturally through you. Give the mind time to let space enter between the thoughts. Just let yourself drift. You're welcome to stay here as long as you'd like. Savasana is really the most essential pose out of our practice. It's the rejuvenating, resetting, integrating pose where everything comes together. If you have the time, you're welcome to stay. Otherwise, we'll just begin to invite our senses to kind of come back into our space and our bodies. Starting with your sense of sound as you listen for sounds and vibrations close to you and far away. And then moving on to the sense of feeling and touch, feeling your skin and the air around you, feeling the solidity of the surface below you, feeling the weight and softness of your body, both at the same time. And then coming into the sense of taste, maybe tasting your mouth, noticing if you have hunger, thirst. And then finally bringing a little movement into fingers and toes. Gently turning the head from side to side. And inviting your knees to come into your chest for a really good hug. Squeezing in towards the heart. and either rolling off to one side or rolling up, chin tucked to chest, to make it into your final seated pose. If you feel like bringing the legs into a full or half lotus, if you feel like using your block to come up onto it, enjoy what feels good and comforting to you as a final seated pose. We'll join our hands together in front of our heart, close our eyes, and just think a little bit about those intentions that you could plant, those seeds for sowing in the future, drawing in the energy of the new moon, and reminding ourselves that it's always within our power to bring a state of calm and relaxation to our bodies by finding our center, coming back into balance, drawing deeply into our breath. Let's draw the thumbs to the third eye center and bow to one another as we say Namaste. Thank you so much for your practice tonight, my friends. I hope that you feel balanced and grounded. Enjoy the energies of the season, and I hope to see you next week. Thank you.